I'm Barbara Bazemore Kiszka, and I'm from Bose. And I have been coming to these Atlassian events for quite a few months now, and I really, really appreciate Greg and Tim putting these together and getting us lovely wines and tasty food and exciting presentations. And one of the things I really like is learning things from other people, so I've decided to help contribute this time. I also want to thank Josh, who's our host tonight. He arranged to have it at Bose, so thank you, Josh. Come on, guys. Free food, Josh, and we had good tunes. You like the speakers up here? Yeah, we're good at this. So anyway, I am here to tell you something that you'll probably say is, oh gosh, that's obvious. But if it's obvious, think about, well, am I doing it? Do I want to do it? Why aren't I doing it? So let's talk about it. It's better communication with Jira. And so we have a lovely tool, Jira, and I don't think we use it as well as we could. So I found a way to do it better. At Bose, I work on our websites. I'm one of our release leads. We have release leads all over the world. We have developers all over the world working our websites. We have our consumer website, which you might be familiar with, and I hope that you visit it for your holiday shopping. Lots of great Bose products coming out. That is the only thing I'm trying to sell you right now. And we have our B2B website for our resellers, the automotive people, the people that put Bose in yachts and big stadiums, all that sort of thing. And we also have our employee and partner discounts. We get really good discounts, so if you know a Bose employee, they can help you with your holiday shopping. And we are also hiring. If you really, really want those discounts, we need some developers. Come see me. We also have this, for each of these websites, they're in about 50 different countries. So we've got about 200 websites that we have to take care of, get the releases out. And what happens is we have these sales and marketing people who are really clever. I think as you notice it, as you walk around, they have great ideas, grand ideas. And then we have the developers that go do and make those ideas happen. They make it so. And then on top of all that, we have the managers who want to do it as quickly and cheaply as possible. Yeah, we know about that. Oh, did I turn it off? What did I do? There we go. All right, I just have to point that way. So one of the things I noticed, I was brought on board because they said, you know, we have all this stuff, but it's not going as well as it could. It's not going smooth. It's not smooth as butter. All these people aren't talking together. It's not. We run into snags. It's always late. So I sat in with the teams. I went in on the ground level, and we work agile, and I sat with the teams and I watched what was happening. And I would see the marketeer and the business would come in and say, hey, I want to have Blaster Card as one of our new supported payment options. And the team would say, okay, we'll have that done in a month. And so 2 sprints go by, and they come to the sprint demo, and they start demoing it. And the marketeer says, well, okay, so that's the B2C website. What about the B2B one? Oh, B2B. We'll create another ticket for that. Another story for that. Okay, well, I see that you kind of missed the icon there. Why are you using that low resolution icon? Oh, we'll do a defect for that. Oh, and I so see that you changed the UI. Can Stevie Wonder come in and buy on this? Can he use his speech to text and go in all the right order and have it all logical and meet our ADA compliance? Oh, we didn't think about that. No. We'll write another defect for that. And it goes on and on. And as I did this, I saw that the same issues kept coming up time after time. And I said, I think what we need here, the other thing is, in addition to the teams not understanding all of the different things that we have to comply with, and all the languages and all the websites that they have to support, because we get new people in fairly frequently, and they're just not up on this. We have the developer created tickets. You know these ones. The developer wrote it for the developer, and it's like, okay, we're going to toggle the Freeble widget. And you're like, okay. And QA is like, how are we going to test this? The developer, it just works. And support is like, what the heck does this mean? What does this do? And they have no idea what they're saying. It turns out that it is a thing that increases performance, that it enhances performance like tenfold in a certain area of the website. Why couldn't they just say, enhances performance a wicked lot? I'd like that. We could do with that. So we have a bunch of mind reading going on. We have the people who are writing the tickets, who write, just enough to remind them what was going on, but not enough to tell the developers and QA and support and everybody else what's going on. So what do we do? I created a checklist, and I said, okay, here's all the things that we keep missing, and this is the obvious part. Just do a checklist. And they're like, this is not agile. You show them the long list checklist, and they're like, oh, we don't like this, but we kind of need it. I see what you're saying. So I came up with a checklist, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use Jira in a very consistent manner. We're going to have the acceptance criteria being really, really clear. And we're going to make sure until we have all this stuff really clear, we're not going to accept the work into a sprint. It's going to be the definition of ready. We make the ask clear, and we use the same language every time. It's a story. As a end user, I want to, as a website user for any of our websites, I want to be able to use the Blaster card option to pay, and so that I can order and build up rewards points for the space travel program. I will know this is done when I can create the order using the Blaster card, and it completes successfully. And then there's all the error conditions. What happens if it's fraud? What happens this? What happens that? But enough of that. We should include those. And this is where the checklist comes in. We know this is done when it meets the ADA compliance standards. We know when it works in all the different websites, when it works with the different payment providers, when it works dot, 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 and it goes down the long checklist. And we'll get to how this works in Sprint in just a minute. But we're going to use the same fields all the time to keep track of all these things so that I can keep track of these. I look through hundreds of tickets a day, literally, and trying to keep track of them all and keep them herded and going in the right direction is lots of fun. Right, guys? Yeah, there's my cheering section. And we want to make sure that anytime anybody picks up a ticket, when we show this ticket to a manager, they should be able to figure out in a minute or less, because we're going through a whole bunch, what's going on. What is it that we're asking for, and what status is it in? So the Sprint people were like, oh, checklist. We don't really want a checklist. This is not agile. But we figured out we can use it during pre-grooming and grooming. So everybody's fairly familiar with sprints or is doing agile? Yeah. So during pre-grooming, the first time we did this, it took an hour to get through a story. They went through the checklist and they asked all the questions, and it took a really long time. And this is going to slow things down. It's not going to make things any speedier. But then the second time they went through grooming, the product owners got smart, and they said, oh, we'll start answering all the questions ahead of time. We know what the questions are going to be. We can cheat. So they start filling in, this is only for this website. This is only for this. This is not going to touch the UI. They can start scaling it down. And then what happens during the grooming is they can have discussions, and the developers are empowered to ask the business for more information. Where am I going to get that test data? Where am I going to get the test accounts for this thing? They start thinking about the QA. They start thinking about further down the line about all the things that have bit them before, and now they have the ability to ask. They have the room to ask and figure out just how big is this before they story point it. And that was the thing before, is that, oh, well, we said it was only this big, and now we have to have all these spin-off tickets. No, we're going to say, how big is it? And then we're going to create the stories the first time through. And then we also make the story in, and that was the DOR, the definition of ready is not complete, that the team can push back and say, hey, this isn't ready yet. You haven't given me enough information. Or if everything's not ready yet, they can say, okay, we're going to take it in anyway, but we're going to increase the story point value because it's riskier. There's a risk that it's not going to go well, that we're going to hit a snag. We also put the story in Gherkin format, given, when, then, so that we can automate it. That if anybody's familiar with Cucumber and JDD, JBehave, which is the behavior-driven development, we like that stuff. So we're here, we've 6 months on from adopting this, and it's not all rainbows and sparkly ponies. We did find it did take longer to fill in at first, like I said. The experienced team leaders are getting good at pre-filling. The team, the one thing I was surprised at is the team will rat hole if the person who's supposed to be answering the questions is not there. We work across different time zones, and sometimes the business person is in a different time zone. And so the team will start asking questions, and they get into a loop, and they spend more time asking questions than they really should. So that we're learning to get our arms around that. General enforcement, I am the enforcer. I go through and I query in Jira. How many of you have got an empty acceptance criteria? And when I started, it was like 30% had acceptance criteria. And then after I went on this program, we got all the way to 90%, which was great. And now that I'm not watching so close, it's back down to 70. But at 70%, I'm pretty comfortable that the release is going to go out on time. When it's at 90%, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. I'm not going to have to work late. This is great. And we have seen, that the management has seen, they've validated that we are more predictable. The releases aren't late. We don't have so many spin-off tickets and never-ending stories. And that's all I got. Any questions? Thank you.